Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll show you how to seamlessly migrate your Zigbee to MQTT setup from an older Raspberry Pi like your 3P Plus to a newer Raspberry Pi 5 while using the same Zigbee coordinator. In my case, I'll be using the Conbee II stick. But that's not all. In this video, I'll also show you on how to download a backup of your current Zigbee to MQTT setup. We'll also go through a fresh instance of installing MQTT as well as through the Zigbee to MQTT setup. Finally, I'll also walk you through to make sure your Zigbee to MQTT Homebridge plugin updates all of its devices in Apple HomeKit without any hassle. So let's dive right in. Before we move ahead with the setup, I just want to highlight that we're going to be using the same Zigbee coordinator connected to the new Raspberry Pi 5. If you're changing a Zigbee coordinator to another brand or to another device, you'll need to repair all of it. There is no way of using the existing backup and then connecting it to a new Zigbee coordinator. So that's one thing you need to take into consideration. Now let's go ahead and get this migration completed. What you want to do first is access your current Zigbee to MQTT setup, and you want to go to Tools, and then you want to go ahead, click on Request Zigbee to MQTT Backup, and then download it to your local computer. From there, you want to access your Downloads folder, unzip the file, and then within this file, you're going to see that all of the 4 important files are downloaded to your computer. Now what you're going to do is, next step is disconnect the coordinator from your existing Raspberry Pi and connect it to your Raspberry Pi 5 using the USB 2.0 port, which is very important. Once that's completed, you may want to go ahead and restart your Raspberry Pi 5. If not, we can move ahead with the next step. Now from here, let's go ahead and access the Zigbee to MQTT tutorial, and then we'll also want to go ahead and SSH into your Raspberry Pi 5 using the reserved IP address. The next step would be we want to make sure the Raspberry Pi has detected the Zigbee dongle. In my case, is the Conbee II stick. You'll see that it's detected. Now we'll move ahead and initiate the Zigbee to MQTT install. But first we want to make sure if node is installed. In my case, it's there. If not, you can go ahead and copy the next 2 commands. Let's move ahead to clone and make a directory. And then we're going to give it a permission access. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and clone the Zigbee to MQTT repository onto the Raspberry Pi 5. Once that's completed, let's go ahead and change folder. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and install all of the dependencies. Now, once it's completed, you could also update the NPM. If not, we're just going to go ahead and check the contents that we have the data folder installed. And let's go ahead and check its contents, which by default downloads 2 files to your Raspberry Pi 5. What we're going to do is go ahead and delete them at the moment. So we're going to use the command sudo rm and delete those 2 files. Once that's completed, what we're going to go do next is go ahead and copy the files from your local computer to the Raspberry Pi 5. So we're going to access the downloads folder. We're going to change directory to the backup. And then we're going to go ahead and type the command scp ***. We're going to type in the destination, which is our Raspberry Pi, which is using the same information to SSH in. And then we're going to use the colon followed by the destination. So in this case, it's going to be opt/Zigbee to MQTT /data. Then we're going to go ahead and hit enter. You want to put in your password. And then we're going to go over to Raspberry Pi 5, type ls to see all of the contents are there. And there we have it. It was copied successfully. Now we're going to proceed ahead with the tutorial, and then we're going to just check the contents of the configuration.yml. Now here, only information we're going to change is the IP address to the assigned Raspberry Pi 5. So in my case, it's 10.2. No other changes are required here. Once that's completed, go ahead and type Ctrl X, type Y, and hit enter. Now from here, we're going to pause a bit and we're going to go ahead and install MQTT. So follow the guide on the right hand side and just follow all of those commands. We're going to be installing the clients, And then from there, we're just going to go ahead and add a couple of lines to the configuration file. We're going to scroll all the way down and just copy paste that information. What we're doing right here is not allowing anybody to access our MQTT. We're going to be assigning a username and password. Control X, type Y, hit enter. And once that's completed, we're going to give the same username and password that we had done in our previous Raspberry Pi. So in my case, it's going to be admin as a username and the password as admin1234. You can always change this password as and when you need, but you'll also need to update it in the configuration.yml as well as the Homebridge plugin. So let's go ahead and now start the service. So there are two commands. We're going to enable it first, and then we're going to start the service. Once the service is started, we're going to be using an app called MQTT Explorer to check if it's working. Let's go ahead and open it. Now we're going to be updating the information and use the same username and password. You'll see that the MQTT service is now up and running. Once that's completed, we can now go ahead and start MQTT by typing the command npm start. Give it a couple of seconds, and once you see a success, you'll see that it will automatically connect with all of the devices that are currently installed, and it will start publishing all of that information. So right now it has been configured correctly. We're going to go ahead and hold Control Z, and the next step would be is go ahead and run it as a daemon. So we're going to copy the command, paste it, and copy paste all of that script that's on your right hand side into this new file. Control X, Y, enter. And now we're going to go ahead and start the service. Now you may see an error over here. That's normal. Don't need to get worried. And even if you go ahead to check the status, you may see an error as well. It's perfectly fine. Once that's completed, we'll just go ahead and hit the last command that would be enabling the service. But before that, let's go ahead and hold Control Z and then paste that command, hit enter. Right now, all we got to do is reboot the Raspberry Pi 5. Doing this will ensure that all the services work well. So we'll go ahead and SSH into the Raspberry Pi, put in the password, and now with everything running, let's go and use the IP address of the Raspberry Pi and the port 8081. You'll see that the Zigbee2MQTT has been successfully migrated, has successfully started, and it's automatically connecting to all of the devices that are installed. Give it a couple of seconds and it will work. Now within Homebridge, all you have to do is just check if all of the credentials are correct, update all of that information. That's it. Making sure that you're already using the same Homebridge that's already added into your Apple HomeKit. Restart the service and you'll see that all of the devices will show up in Homebridge as if nothing happened. With this setup, you also know that we've also migrated the Homebridge from a previous setup into this Raspberry Pi 5 using the restore and backup commands. So this way, everything just works just fine. And that's it. We successfully migrated our Zigbee2MQTT setup to a new Raspberry Pi 5, restored the backup, and updated the Homebridge plugin to get everything running in Apple HomeKit as if nothing really happened. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more DIY smart home videos. Until the next time, my friends, cheers and happy automation.